Federal government to train 10 million Nigerians on financial inclusion. NACON concludes the 2026 Hajj accommodation arrangements ahead of Saudi deadlines. Zamfara government inaugurates NYSC governing board members. On business news, Payton calls on regulators to deal with delays in oil and gas contracting processes. On the international scene, families mourn victims of Congo mine collapse. A search for survivors continues. On sports update, Ademola Lukman joins Atletico Madrid. Hello and welcome to SVTV News. I am Musa Mohammed. The federal government has flagged off a free nationwide training of 10 million Nigerians on financial inclusion and literacy. The training being undertaken is chaired by Vice President Kashim Shettima through the Presidential Committee on Economic and Financial Inclusion, is designed to equip Nigerians, particularly women and youth, with essential financial skills, investments, knowledge, and digital competencies for sustainable wealth creation. Accordingly, the Office of the Vice President, through the pre-CEFI, signed a Memorandum of Understanding with 6 professional bodies to jointly design training programs and certification pathways. The chairman of the National Hajj Commission of Nigeria, Professor Abdullahi Saleh Usman, informs stakeholders, pilgrims, and the public that the commissioning has concluded accommodation arrangements for the 2026 Hajj in both Mecca and Medina ahead of the deadlines set by Saudi authorities. The conclusion of the accommodation, uploads, and approval acceptance by the Saudi Ministry of Hajj is in line with the directive of the Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, His Excellency Kashim Shettima, GCOIN, that all critical Hajj arrangements shall be finalized within approved Saudi timelines to safeguard Nigeria's operational interests. A statement signed by Ahmed Muazu, Technical Assistant Media to the Chairman of NACON, said the Commission now proceeds to the next phase of operational preparations for the 2026 Hajj. Prosecutors have charged 9 individuals on grounds of terrorism related to one of the deadliest massacres of the past years in Benue State in June 2025. The killings mainly targeted the Yelwata community. About 150 people were killed on 13 June when gunmen armed with AK-47s descended upon Yelwata in Nigeria's central Benue State. They raided and touched homes and murdered civilians seeking shelter from the attack, sometimes burning them alive. Many others were injured. On Monday, the Federal High Court in Abuja filed 57 terrorism-related charges against the 9 individuals suspected of being linked to the attacks. The prosecution has also claimed that the suspects asked for funds from community leaders in Nasarawa State, the same state where they reportedly carried out meetings to plan the massacre. The Nigerian army has confirmed the death of some of its soldiers in a major raid carried out by the military on the camp of one of the bandit leaders in Zamfara State, saying it inflicted heavy losses on the bandits. This comes just days after gunmen attacked Gwargwabi village in Nahucha area of Bungudu local government area, killing 4 people, including 3 men and a woman, after the villagers refused to pay the tax demanded by the gunmen. The army said its troops of Operation Fansin Yamma, in collaboration with other security agencies, attacked the Gwaska Dankarimi camp in Maru local government area over the weekend, after receiving intelligence indicating that over 100 bandits had gathered there to plan attacks on the community and military transport routes. At least 2 houses were burnt down and community leaders were injured after a clash between youth in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State. The conflict, which erupted from Sunday to Thursday morning, was sparked by a dispute over mining operations, residents told Daily Trust. A community leader, Malam Ahmed Mishigi, said the conflict involved youth from Michigan and Kudu neighborhoods over the issue of mining. He said the dispute, which began last year, has escalated into a dispute between neighbors, with the situation worsening on Sunday. Adding to that, all the efforts by leaders to calm the unrest failed, with some of them being injured. However, the Kaduna State Police Command spokesman DSP Mansur Hassan said the situation has been brought under control. A fire broke out at Singa Market Monday morning, caused a significant property damage and injured several people. Reports indicate that the fire broke out at Singa Market on Monday morning from Mazaf shopping complex, caused significant property damage, burning a large amount of goods and injured several people. The chairman of Singa and surrounding market, Alhaji Musa Ibrahim Nabanki, said that an investigation into the incident has already begun. On his part, the public relations officer of the Kano State Fire Service, Saminu Yusuf Abdullahi, said they would commence a full investigation once the remaining parts of the fire were brought under control. The information received indicates that this is the fourth fire to occur in less than 3 months in various markets in Kano State. The Zamfara State government has formally inaugurated 9 members for the State National Youth Service Corps NYSC Governing Board and reaffirmed commitment to enhance the welfare and security of corps members serving in the state. Speaking at the event, the chairman of the NYSC Governing Board and Commissioner for the Ministry of Youth and Support Development, Alhaji Tasiu Musa Shankafi, reaffirmed the state government's unwavering commitment to supporting the NYSC scheme under the administration of Governor Daud Lawal. In his remarks, the Zamfara State NYSC Coordinator Malam Lawal Ahmed expressed gratitude to Governor Daud Lawal for his unwavering support and dedication to putting smiles on the faces of corps members serving in the state. Now we look at the business news. The chairman of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETN, Engineer Wole Ogunsonya, has called on the petroleum industry regulators to urgently deal with the delays in oil and gas contracting processes, stressing the need to follow the presidential directive requiring tenders to be concluded within 6 months. Abdulkarim Suleiman reports.
The chairman of the Petroleum Technology Association of Nigeria, PETN, Engineer Wole Ogunsanya, has called on the petroleum industry regulators to urgently deal with the delay in oil and gas contracting process, stressing the need to follow the presidential directive requiring tender to the conclusion within 6 months. Following the presidential directive requiring tenders to be concluded within 6 months, Ogunsanya made this call during his presentation at the opening ceremony of the Nigerian International Energy Summit 2026 in Abuja. Recall that President Tinubu in March 2024 issues Executive Order 42 mandating reduction of petroleum sector contracting cost and timeline, 2024 being part of the wider set of oil and gas reforms signed by the administration. Ogunsanya disclosed that PETN is currently monitoring ongoing tenders, emphasizing that several projects scheduled to commence in 2026 and 2027 remain stalled due to prolonged contracting cycle. The PETN boss therefore called on the presidency to give closer monitoring of the contracting process to ensure that award and project execution align with presidential timeline, warning that continued delay could weaken investors' confidence and slow sector growth. Still on the business, the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has said Nigerian fast-growing financial technology, also known as fintech, sector can play a major role in boosting the economy, expanding access to banking services and creating jobs. The Apex Bank also warned that clearer rules stronger infrastructure, and closer cooperation between regulators and private companies are needed for the industry to reach its full potential. According to the report, many Nigerians fintech companies are already thinking beyond the country's border. More than half of the firms surveyed said they plan to expand into other African countries, but they believe the process is made difficult by the need to apply for fresh license in every new market. The CBN noted that while some companies see Nigerian regulatory environment as supportive, others feel held back by delays and unclear processes. The report stated that about half of those surveyed believe that current rules encourage innovation, while the other half says it slows down the launch of new products. Several firms complain that it can take more than a year to get approval, making it difficult to compete in a fast-moving digital market.
Now to the international scene.
Audio Jungle. Audio Jungle.
Family members and survivors mourn the victims of last week's Rubaya coal-ton mine collapse. Kinshasa accuses M23 of illegally exploiting Eastern Congo's natural resources. For this story, we join Bilkisu Haruna Abdullahi.
Family members and survivors mourn the victims of last week's Rubaya coal-ton mine collapse. Kinshasa accuses M23 of illegally exploiting Eastern Congo's natural resources. Mourners gathered quietly in the courtyard of a modest home in Goma, Eastern Congo on Monday. At least 200 miners are believed to have died in one of the deadliest mining disasters the region has seen in years. The collapse happened at the Rubaya mines, about 40 kilometers west of Goma, after days of heavy rain. The site is controlled by the Rwanda-backed M23 rebel group, which seized the area in 2024 and now oversees one of Congo's most important sources of coltan, a mineral essential for mobile phones, computers, and military technology. M23 authorities halted artisanal mining on the site after the collapse, and the search for survivors continues. Congo's government, in a statement on social media, expressed solidarity with the victims' family and accused the rebel of illegally and unsafely exploiting the region's natural resources. Congo's government, in a statement on social media, expressed solidarity with the victims' families and accused the rebels of illegally and unsafely exploiting the region's natural resources. Also on the international scene, Mozambique is grappling with its worst flooding in decades, just months after recovering from a devastating drought. Nearly 700,000 people have been affected, with over 100,000 forced into temporary shelters as homes, farmland, and roads were submerged. The United Nations warns severe overcrowding is creating dangerous conditions, particularly for women, girls, the elderly, and those with disabilities. The World Food Programme says it is scaling up to reach 450,000 people with life-saving food and nutrition assistance, but urgently needs $32 million to do so. Specialized vehicles, boats, trucks, aircraft, and helicopters are being deployed to reach isolated communities cut off by washed-out roads and bridges. UN agencies stress the risks are far from over, with continued rainfall forecasts. More displacement is expected, and urgent international support is critical. Ross Smith, World Food Programme's Emergency Response Chief, says funding is down 40% from last year, straining efforts to respond. The United Nations High Commission for Refugees is also seeking $38.2 million for 2026 to provide protection and support services in overcrowded shelters, where the most vulnerable face heightened risk of violence, exploitation, and lack of basic services. Bilkisu Haruna Abdullahi, SVTV News.
And from the international, we now move on to entertainment news. The Lagos State government has issued a stern warning to content creators, skit makers, and influencers, mandating that they safeguard the rights of children in all digital and offline productions. Once again, Brikis Haruna reports.
The Lagos State government has issued a stern warning to content creators, skit makers, and influencers, mandating that they safeguard the rights of children in all digital and offline productions. In a joint statement released Monday, the Commissioner for Youth and Social Development, Mobolaji Ogundele, and the Executive Secretary of Lagos State's Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, Titilola Vivo Adeni, expressed growing concern over content that threatens the dignity and well-being of children. According to the statement, Lagos Authority expressed that the involving minors in content that depicts abuse, sexual themes, harmful stereotypes, or unsafe scenarios is not only unethical, but also contrary to existing laws designed to protect children. Lagos further urged content creators to be mindful of the long-term psychological, emotional, and social impact such content may have on children, as well as the legal implications for adults responsible for producing or sharing it. The state further explained that such content violates the provisions of the Nigerian Constitution on creating, distributing, or profiting from content that sexualizes, abuses, or endangers minors constitutes a criminal offense. The authority expressed its readiness to work with relevant stakeholders, including law enforcement agencies, to ensure compliance with child protection laws and to address violence when they occur. Content creators are advised to familiarize themselves with these legal provisions and to prioritize the safety and dignity of children in all creative work. Bilkisu Haruna Abdullahi, SVTV News.
And now sports update. The Nigerian superstar and African footballer of the year 2024 has accepted an offer to join Atletico Madrid, rejecting a lucrative salary proposal from Turkish Super League giants Fenerbahce. Johnson Ola reports.
The Nigerian superstar and African footballer of the year 2024 has accepted an offer to join Atletico Madrid, rejecting a lucrative salary proposal from Turkish Super League giant Fenerbahce. It's the end of a difficult 18 months. Ademola Lookman, one of the Nigerian star footballers, has signed with Atletico Madrid after seeking to secure a transfer from his now ex-club Atlanta for a while. The 28-year-old reportedly sought to leave the Bergamo-based club for either Paris Saint-Germain or Arsenal, but none of these transfers happened in the end. The Nigerian forward has already arrived in Madrid, according to a press release by his new club, where he will undergo a medical exam and formalize the contract. Lookman is now the first Super Eagles star to play for a club in La Liga, following in the footsteps of Akko Adams, Chidera Ejuke, and Sadiq Umar. Still on sports, Lazio have turned down loan offers from Bournemouth and other Premier League clubs for Nigeria international Fisayo Dele Bashiru, as the club wants the midfielder to remain as a cover after first-team injuries. Following a decent AFCON 2025 campaign in Morocco, at least 3 Premier League clubs, Sunderland, Nottingham Forest, and Bournemouth, were interested in the services of the 24-year-old former Manchester City man. Turkish side Trabzonspor also inquired about the midfielder, with talks heading late into the winter transfer window, but nothing materialized. According to Lazio Channel Italy, Bournemouth were the club most keen on sealing a deal for the Nigerian. And that is the end of the sports reports. Johnson Ola, Standard Voice Television.
On behalf of all the production crew and the production editor, Fatima Ibrahim, I am Musa Muhammad.